Hey guys, I do have an editorial for you this morning. It's Tuesday editorial, but it's my Monday. It feels like a Monday. I just did a couple of takes of this, and I was saying, hey, I got a Monday editorial for you. Well, it is my Monday. No, I have a Tuesday editorial for you. Now, this one happened in 2015, but the verdict for this man came down yesterday. He was convicted yesterday on these charges, and he got away with murder, pretty much. And this is another one where a police officer gets away with murder, and he's convicted of lesser charges. We'll see what the sentence is. It's like the one in Fort Worth, where the DA is charging him with murder, but we're going to see what the conviction is. What is he going to be convicted of? What will be the verdict? That's what we want to know, because that Fort Worth police officer, Aaron Dean, could be convicted of lesser charges. Maybe like assault or something like that, violating police policy. We don't know yet, so let's not start jumping up and down and clapping. Then he's been charged with murder. We don't know what the verdict's going to be. It could be just a dog and pony show to appease the city of Fort Worth and say, see, look, we are charging him with murder, okay? So settle down. And then he gets convicted of something else. That's what we're going to see right here in this story from a man from DeKalb, Georgia. Now, this story comes to us from the Washington Post. Megan Flynn. Thank you, Megan Flynn of the Washington Post, for this story. I'm going to do an editorial on it. And let the nation know what's going on with Leos. That's law enforcement officers across your nation on this Tuesday morning. A former Georgia police officer has been acquitted of killing an unarmed naked black man seconds after encountering him at his own Atlanta area apartment complex on the throes of mental health crises. That's right, acquitted. But on Monday, the jury did convict ex-DeKalb County officer Robert Chip Olson, who was white, of aggravated assault and lying about the shooting, meaning he could still face decades in prison for the crime for aggravated assault. The DeKalb County jury deliberated for 27 hours over 6 days about whether Olson's actions in the March 2015 death of 26-year-old Anthony Hill amounted to murder before reaching a compromise. Now, to avoid deadlocking, the jurors acquitted Olson, 57, of a felony murder and convicted him on the rest of the charges, the Associated Press reported. Speaking anonymously, one juror said the jury was largely split along racial lines. Most of the white jurors were leaning towards acquittal based on Olson's self-defense claim, while most non-white jurors supported a conviction of murder. Juror 31 was quoted as saying, and by the way, he's black, they say, "There was only so much I could do. I was disturbed. At some point in time, just hearing him say self-defense and hearing people in my jury saying self-defense was one of the hardest things that any man of color could endure." Now, the unusual verdict capped an emotional 20-day trial where the difficulties of policing mental illness collided with racial tension accompanying the shooting of an unarmed black man by a white police officer. And someone had commented on a video yesterday about the Fort Worth editorial that why do we have to bring race and age and all that into it? You know, race does play a big part of it, whether we want to admit it or not. What do we want to say? Why do we got to say it was a white cop and a black guy? Come on now. I mean, it is true that officers of certain ethnicities do violate the rights and do violate policy against the residents, citizens, suspects, subjects of their own ethnicity. In other words, there are white police officers that do violate the rights of white people. There are black police officers that violate the rights of black people, of course. But it is also true, and people try to give these statistics that it's not true, that a lot of non-whites, in fact, sometimes it just might be true that a lot more non-whites than whites are profiled in traffic stops and other pedestrian checks. There is a company in Los Angeles or Los Angeles County that did a study on this and found that most of the traffic stops in Los Angeles County were non-whites, that they were being profiled. They found that, and then they're protesting there. So people say, why do we have to bring it up, a white cop and a black guy? Because that's what really is happening on the streets. Non-whites are being profiled. Tell me they're not. Tell me they're not. Tell me a white police officer sees a white guy in a nice car go by, and then they see a non-white guy in a little beat-up Hyundai. They're going to pull that little Hyundai over. Especially if they got music in it. They're going to pull him over and say, yeah, I don't know, it looked like your taillight wasn't working. I thought I'd pull you over and check it. Do you have your driver's license? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, back to the editorial. They do talk about the Fort Worth shooting here in this editorial as well. I'm not going to go through that. This is very lengthy. I'm going to put a copy or a link to this story in the description box below. It's very lengthy. You can go through it yourself. But I do want to point some things out here. In closing arguments earlier this month, lead DeKalb County Prosecutor Pete Johnson urged jurors to refuse to allow a police officer to kill an unarmed, mentally ill man with impunity, saying maybe there was a time it was like that, but not here, not today. Now, he was unarmed. He was naked. We're going to get to that. Here we go. They're talking to different people here. There's some quotes by some of the people that they were talking to. The prosecutor wanted to convict this guy. At the time of his death, Hill was trying to ask for help, prosecutors said. An Afghanistan war veteran. This is a veteran who was from the Afghanistan war. Hill was discharged from the Air Force on medical grounds in 2013 after being diagnosed with bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. On the afternoon of March 9th, 2015, in the middle of a mental health crisis, he stripped off most of his clothes outside his apartment and began knocking on the leasing office door. Two maintenance workers encountered him. Hill told them he needed help, that the devil was coming for him, and he loved his mom. He asked them where he lived. The workers tried to escort him home, but Hill came back outside entirely naked, doing a military crawl on the playground. When one of the maintenance workers tells him police are on the way, Hill's final words were, "Good, the police are my friends." We're about to find out that the cop that showed up was not his friend. And that's what I want to get across to all of you. Those of you who think the police are your friends, the police are not your friends. They will turn on you in a heartbeat if one of their coworkers violates your rights or bullies you or intimidates you. The cop that you thought was your friend will go, well, he just, what he's thinking is, oh, you're going to justify that. Yeah, they will. Because they don't want to blame their coworker. No, he's a good guy. Come on, I work with him. He's a fucking asshole. I've known him for 5 minutes, you could say, and I've seen that on the street, filming in San Bernardino and parts of Hemet, Redlands. I've seen where officers are acting like dicks and other officers are like, well, no, I don't know. And don't give me that bullshit. But moving here, so that's what I was getting to when he says, good, the police are my friends. No, they're not. Those were his last known words. When Olson arrived and got out of his cruiser, the officer's gun was already drawn. Defense attorneys argued he was trying to de-escalate the situation, flashing his gun to gain control and send a message rather than intending to use it. Well, if you pull it, you're going to use it. Where was the pepper spray? Where was the baton? Where was they say that. Hold on a minute. Prosecutors argued there was an unbelievable claim saying Olson failed to take any other non-lethal steps before deciding to shoot Hill in a clear violation of the DeKalb County Police Department's excessive force policy. And there are steps, levels of use of force. He went right to the top. You have uniform presence. You have vocal commands. You have non-lethal, which is taser, baton, pepper spray. He didn't go to any of those. You have lethal is pulling your gun. He went right to lethal. Boom. He didn't use any other levels of force, according to the story. In all of 6 or 7 seconds, Anthony Hill was dead. Now, here's what I want to get you to. I'm almost out of time, but I do want to get you to something in this story. I apologize if it's a little lengthy. Thank you guys for listening. And all of 6 or 7, we read that. When Olson got out, Hill began jogging toward him Witnesses testified, varying in description of Hill's speed. Olson yelled, "Stop," twice, and Hill did not stop but slowed to a near walk. Then Olson fired. At the time he struck and killed Hill, the young man was not even within arm's reach, about 6 feet away. Juror 31 told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, quote, "A naked man doesn't pose a threat to a trained cop. When we call a cop, we expect a cop to de-escalate a situation, not turn to the most deadliest arsenal on his belt. And that's where he went wrong." You guys need to listen. If you don't listen to anything else in this video, listen right here. In the aftermath of the shooting, Olson tried to stretch the facts to make Hill seem threatening, attempting to justify his decision to shoot him, Cross said. Olson told the second officer to arrive on scene that Hill attacked him and pounded on his chest. It was a lie, according to witness testimony and bystander video footage. I'm going to say that again. Olson told the second officer to arrive on scene that Hill attacked him and pounded on his chest. It was a lie, according to witness testimony and bystander video footage. Are you guys hearing me right now? Always record the police. Always, always, always record the police. Get those videos rolling when the cops are on scene, because it could go from 0 to 100 like that. And if your video isn't running, the cop said, well, he's a cop. Must be telling the truth. He's a cop. He's a law enforcement officer. DeKalb County District Attorney Sherry Boston said she was disappointed jurors did not convict Olson of murder. I'm disappointed too, but was pleased he will be held accountable on charges carrying a hefty prison time. He was previously staring down life in prison, but if convicted of murder, but now he faces up to 35 years if given maximum punishment on the charges of aggravated assault, making false statements, and 2 counts of violating his oath of office. He's now out on bond, but he's set to be sentenced on November 1st. And as the verdict in Olson's case was read in court on Monday, that's yesterday, 2 jurors cried, and so did Hill's mother and Olson's wife, who wailed, "No, no, no," so loudly she was led out of the courtroom, local news reported. Juror 31 said one black female juror broke down in the jury room upon realizing there would be no murder conviction for Olson. Well, that's because he's a cop. They're not going to convict him of murder. Are you kidding? He shot an unarmed, mentally ill veteran who was naked. But he didn't murder him. He just, assaulted him and then lied about it. Community Leo Watch, let you know what's going on with law enforcement officers across your nation. Thank you for watching, guys. I got to go. Have a great week. There are more to come. Comment section is below if you want to discuss this. Link to this whole story, and there's more to it. If you want to go read it, is in the description box. Thank you.